Hello and welcome to another episode of Earth911's Sustainability in Your Ear. I'm your host, Mitch Ratcliffe, and we're back to have another conversation with a changemaker working to accelerate the transition to a sustainable, carbon-neutral society. You know, the longer we keep driving gas and diesel vehicles, the more global warming we're going to have to deal with. Electric vehicles are essential to making the economy sustainable, and the price of EV charging already compares favorably to fueling up with gas. According to the American Automobile Association's estimates, which they made when gas cost only $4.25 a gallon, electric driving costs only a third of the price as gasoline driving over the same distance. Our guest today is Nick Zamanov, who is business director at San Jose-based Cyberswitching, a maker of EV charging technology. The company launched a long time ago, back in 1994, and has developed charging solutions for offices, local governments, apartment buildings, universities, and other charger installations. Nick also recently contributed an article at Earth911. It's called Considerations to Help You Confidently Switch to an EV, which is a guide about the concerns shoppers have about buying and using EVs. We'll talk about some of those suggestions and dig in on some of our unanswered questions about EVs, EV charging, and the U.S. charging infrastructure. You can learn more about cyberswitching at cyberswitching.com, all one word, cyberswitching.com. Welcome to the show, Nick. How are you doing today? And by the way, thanks for the article.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Mitch. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we appreciate you taking time to write for us and to talk with us today. I wanted to start off by asking about Cyberswitching's origins. It was founded in 1994. That was a long time before the first EVs. Was the focus always on electric vehicle charging?
Not really. So in 1994, there was not big EV market back then. So in 1994, we started as a power management company. Mm-hmm. So we have been, and since then we have been building power management solutions. By power management, I mean power distribution units. That was our first product, which we hold a lot of patents on. Mm-hmm. It's basically a product to distribute the power for data centers mostly, so that you can plug several things, and then it's a smart power distribution unit which just sees if there is something wrong. You can control them remotely. All the outlets can turn them on and off. Basically, it's everything remotely. Instead of back then, people were like, you needed to have somebody in data center to be able to plug it in and plug it off if there's something wrong.
So when did you start this transition to focus on EVs?
On EVs, our first product was in 2015. So that was our first product, EV master controller, and in 2022, like basically this year, like in February, we introduced our own smart charger. So since 2015, we have been doing this EV products.
So you've got the charging stations and the management device. Are the customers that you're working with primarily businesses that want to offer charging, or landlords that want to offer charging?
Exactly. So most of our customers are, actually 99% of our customers are business owners. So we, like before our smart charging station, we had like enabling technology for EV charging. So basically management controller, which, and that product is used mostly by local governments, municipalities, apartment complexes. So you have limited infrastructure, but you want to have many charging stations. Mm-hmm. So there is a problem. You don't have enough power to do that. And people were using our product to add up to 8 times more charging stations to using their limited infrastructure.
Okay, so you're extending that infrastructure and distributing the energy across a lot more charging stations. That's really encouraging. Now, as businesses look at the role of charging in their relationship with customers, are you seeing that they're thinking about, say, as retailers needing to provide EV charging at their locations? Are they thinking about designing new locations around charging, so that, for instance, you could spend your charging time having a nice meal?
Exactly. Everybody is looking now at the EV charging, the retailers, the separate retailers, and then all the big shopping centers, all of them looking at the charging stations, some of them looking at the direction of selling them, like big Home Depots and like all of the other competitors, and the other retailers just looking at adding charging stations in front of their buildings so that to let people come in and charge their cars. We see that almost in all the shopping centers here in California. California is a little bit faster than some of the other states, but yeah, it's coming.
You also find, the original charging stations sort of grew out of the car manufacturers' need to support their vehicles, and so Tesla has its own network, and it only works with Teslas unless you have an adapter. Mm-hmm. Are you seeing a switch away from auto manufacturers thinking about the need to provide charging and towards a more distributed model?
Exactly. Yeah. And like there are a lot of new networks coming in to let people charge to let everybody charge their cars regardless of what kind of vehicle you have. Tesla is doing a little bit differently, and I see that to capture their brand and like to get more market share in the market. So that's the reason why they limit their chargers only for Tesla owners. But I believe it's going to change, and there will be public networks where you could charge. I'm like on the fast charging space, there are 3 different plugins, I would say, to charge your car. And that should eventually change, and there should be one standard so that you could charge your car anywhere to enable the EV market, to enable people to switch to EV. So that should happen, and that's inevitable.
So the standardization of the charging plug, I think, is a really interesting model that we already understand from what's going on with computers and mobile phones. Apple is currently facing the end of its Lightning charger because it's just plain non-standard. And of course, Tesla started off by being non-standard, but they're going to have to come back into compliance with the rest of the world. Are you seeing, as a result of the Build Back Better legislation, I wouldn't want to say a flood, but money flowing towards states and municipalities to help support this build out?
Not sure about that. Not sure if that will change things. I will say that the market will demand, and like the demand on the market will make the people, the brands, to realize that they need to change, to standardize things, and to make it more standard in order to get everybody to use their chargers. Eventually, more and more car manufacturers are coming in. And the newer players would actually, to capture the market, they need to have a standard chargers. So they will either use the already available networks, and they will use them to get their cars charged in. And more players like that will come into the market. The more public and standard networks will grow. And that will basically change the behavior of the other bigger manufacturers, the other bigger brands.
I'm curious, are you seeing oil companies thinking about adding charging at their current fueling stations? Is that something that you expect to see happen?
Definitely. Shell is working on that, BP is working on that, and everybody else will be doing that too. They have already realized that EV is the future, and it's coming. It's not the matter of if, it's when it's coming, when it's going to be big. So everybody's thinking about that, and they are like, Shell is really big on the switching to EV and adding their EV chargers to all their stations. And that's going to happen with all the other gas station companies, like with the oil companies.
It's going to be interesting to see how gas stations change as a result of you needed to spend 20 or 30 minutes for a fast charge instead of 3 or 5 minutes for a fuel up. Have you had conversations about what you put around a charger to make it a more attractive place to stop?
That's actually very interesting. Actually, EV charging itself, it's very interesting, and the way people look at it, it's very different. So currently, just because everybody has gas engine cars, people look, and because like just we got used to go to gas stations and fuel the gas to the car. It's a standard behavior. That's how we
right.
That's how we drive our cars. But I look at the EVs in a little bit different way. I look at EVs as our cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't really go anywhere to charge, and like we don't go to specific places to charge our cell phones.
Right.
So what we do with cell phones is we charge them at home, and we charge them at our workplaces. And I look at the car same way, at EVs same way. So we go home and we spend more than 10 to 12 hours at home. So we can just plug our cars and get it charged overnight, full charging. Or if you don't really have a charging station at home, you can just go to work, plug your car. Don't spend time on actually going somewhere on a different dedicated space to charge your car. You just go to work or go home or go shopping, and that's your charging stations there. You just charge your car. Don't spend extra time, extra effort on doing something else. So now, I've made a research of I checked that in average, people in US spend over 5 hours per year in gas stations. And that's only in gas stations to plug and like to get the gas. And
sure.
They don't count even going to the stores and gas stations to buy things and to drive to gas stations. That like all of that will count over 10 hours per year. Instead of that, we could just charge our cars at home and at work, and that's it.
Well, so you're really talking about the main issue that you called out in your article for Earth911 too, which is the concern that everybody has is about range. And range may be a misplaced concern because you could charge your car enough to take care of your local travel every day at home. What's the right range to be shopping for in an EV in order to take full advantage of what the current charging environment looks like and what it's going to change to over time? Is it okay to think about a short range vehicle at this point?
It's a great question, and it really depends on everybody's needs. So first of all, most of the people in US buy cars like to drive to home, to work and home, and or to school and home, and that's 75% of people drive less than 100 miles, spend less than 100 miles on commute.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing we could start with, keeping that in mind that 100 miles would be enough distance to go to work and back to home, or to go to school and back to home. So that's the least we would need to have. So 100 miles, that's in theory, like that, 100 miles, that's what we need. And the cars which have, let's say, 120, 130 miles, in theory, they will get 100 miles. So that's a good point to start with. And then we need to consider facts like how far away you work from home, or how often you spend your time driving, traveling, and all of those things. So if you and there are like two different things we could do with that having in mind. So we could, first of all, let's say, get a cheaper EV with shorter distance, even used EV with like 150 miles driving distance. So that will cover basically our commute. And we will save, as you mentioned, it's like 1/3 of price. The EV charging is 1/3 of the gas charge, like basically putting the gas in your car. So we will save a lot on that. And to have a regular gas engine car for your driving to longer distance. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing we could do.
Yeah, and I do see that kind of as a transitional experience. It's certainly the way that I'm going through this. I bought a used BMW i3, which is a short-range vehicle, around 100 miles, basically. And I use that for when I have had to commute during the pandemic. But I haven't been able to get a long-distance EV because everything is on a wait list. So as you look at the evolving EV market, and you did for the article, which which cars are you excited about in terms of solving some of these problems for people? What would you look at for short range and long range cars right now?
The EV market is really interesting and really exciting. There are like so many models, which I'm excited about. I'm like, there are like new cars, like cheaper range cars, and more expensive cars. On the cheaper side, cars, on more affordable cars, there are really like I personally like Volkswagen's ID4, I believe, and really great price. Basically a car for anybody, for everybody, for regular people like me. My mom has got ID4, and there are like Hyundais, which are great, Ioniqs. Kias are really great cars, again, affordable, get pretty long distance. So Hyundais and Kias, I believe they get over 300 miles, and pretty affordable. So those cars on a like more affordable range, and then if you look at the higher end range, I really like Lucids. Look great to me. Teslas, you could never get wrong with.
They're going to continue to be there for sure.
Right. So yeah, those models I'm pretty excited about. I've got Tesla recently, Model 3, really great, save a lot on gas. Yeah.
It's interesting to me that what we're talking about are all almost, exclusively foreign vehicles. Do you get a sense that GM, Ford, and the other American automakers are just not up to this, or are they just late to the game and going to show up strong?
Bigger U.S. manufacturers are getting there. GM, I believe, by 2025 are planning to have 25, I believe, models as electric cars. Ford, GM has been in EV space for a while. They have got their Chevy Bolt. By the way, Chevy Bolt is pretty good car, very reliable. Gets you from point A to point B and has a pretty good range. I believe now they have over 270 miles or so. Really good car. About the Ford, I'm pretty excited about their new F-150 pickups, lighting, I believe.
Yeah, I'm on the wait list for that one.
That's a great car. I saw it in the trade show in LA, ACT. Checked it, really liked it, looks really good. And yeah, it's a great car. It's a little pricey, but yeah, I believe the prices should go down a little bit.
Well, I would love to see lower prices. Let's take a quick break. We're going to be right back to talk a little more with Nick Zamanov. We're back to talk more with Nick Zamanov, Business Director at EV charging technology maker Cyberswitching. So, Nick, is Cyberswitching concerned about the availability of the various elements and materials that are needed to build EV batteries and distribution networks? Are we headed into a shortage of what we need to make that infrastructure work?
Yes, we are really concerned about the shortage of materials because of many, many different reasons on top of the COVID. But yeah, the shortage is there, and we are having problems on our supply side getting materials in to build enough products to ship them out. And the same with the EV manufacturers. That's the reason you mentioned the wait lists for any EV currently. The shortage, it's a big problem. Shortage of the chips, shortage of the materials for the batteries. Yeah.
Do you see the United States setting policies and investing in the right way to start to drive the volume of materials manufacturing that we need in order to make the transition to electric?
I see an effort. I see a good effort, but I believe it's going to take a while till we are ready for that.
What are they doing right?
They are investing right. They are investing in our own manufacturing, in our own basically building the supply side on our own in the United States. And like most of the shortage problem, it's because of the ports, because of the like tariffs and all of that. Like packed ports where we cannot get materials in. So if you have everything here, it could have saved a lot of time. So we personally had, like, when we bought some supplies for our own products, getting them shipped from Taiwan, from China, it takes at least like 4 to 5 months these days. So we could have saved that time and get everything here much faster.
Now, in your Earth911 article, you talked about there being 113,600 charging stations in the United States. Is that individual charging units, or are those locations that might have multiple chargers?
I believe it's individual. It's a charging ports, basically. 113,000 charging ports that's currently we have.
So when we were talking earlier about availability of charging away from home, and I agree with you that in general, we're going to be doing most of our charging at home or at the office, where we stop for a long time too. But I was put in mind of particularly if you go to an airport and everybody's standing in line or competing to get to the charging port for their phone. Do you anticipate some gas lines, but I guess they'd be electric lines, evolving as we go through the transition? Are drivers potentially going to have to wait in line to charge when they are away from home at a long distance?
So when people are away from home for a longer distance, yes, for now there will be, like, not for now, but within till the transition. Like, first of all, we don't have any lines for electric charging for now,
right?
But when the EV demand will grow and people will have more cars, and that's what we currently see. If we don't get more charging stations to the market, basically to the roads, which is the plan, basically to put 600 charging stations on the freeways, basically. Mm-hmm. So there will be some lines until we get that done, and between basically that is done and more people would have EVs. So there will be some temporarily problems, but I don't see a big problem for a long-term future.
That's good to hear. Now, what about the commercial transportation sector? Are we starting to think clearly and completely about how to charge trucks that are carrying our food supply, electric buses, and other commercial vehicles?
Definitely, we are looking at it. And I've on ACT, I've been in LA. I've seen, like, almost everybody had all the charging station companies, which have been around for a while. They have had their bigger fast charging stations built for bigger vehicles, for vans, for semi trucks, for delivery trucks. And I've seen a lot of interest from a lot of interest on the supply side. People on the demand side, people were looking at it. All the bigger companies, like delivery companies, first of all, UPS, FedEx, Amazon, they are already ordering electric vehicles, right, for their delivery cars. UPS has a lot of them. FedEx has, Amazon has got, and almost everybody's looking at it. And there are bigger trucks coming. For now, I think that the bigger trucks are not ready. Semi trucks are not yet ready. They're not there yet because of the distance range they will go. So it's like around 200 miles, 250 miles, 300 miles. Some of them have. So it's not still there, but eventually it's gonna be there.
Yeah, the industrial era focused on you would own and operate your own fueling station, for instance. UPS or FedEx would do that, as would a municipality. Their buses would all go to the same place to be fueled. Is that the wrong way for us to think about building a charging system for commercial transportation? Should we be thinking about creating shared charging locations in order to lower the overall cost of building and supporting these fleets?
Sure. Shared charging stations are always the best solution, so that when we don't use it, other people could use it, instead of just limiting it to our own fleet. Yes.
That doesn't play very well with a lot of people who think about needing to own and operate their infrastructure. Do you think that business and government leaders are willing to start talking about that kind of a sharing arrangement?
I haven't seen any direction on that side yet. We have been talking to a lot of governments, a lot of like school systems and municipalities. We haven't seen any trend going to that direction. Mm-hmm. But I think that once they have a lot more charging station infrastructure, much better charging station infrastructure, they will look at that direction. For now, they don't even have the charging infrastructure to charge their cars. So they are not even closer to that side. So that's why we don't see that for now. But once they have enough infrastructure to charge their own fleets, they will hopefully look at that direction. And why not? And they are worried about and they are interested in getting more people to switch to EVs.
Right.
And if we want to do that, we need to have better infrastructure. The main reason why people don't buy EVs, it's the range anxiety. So if we open our charging stations to everybody else so that they could use and like basically share our charging infrastructure, it will help more people to switch to EVs. Now, and it's pretty hard to put these charging stations, these bigger charging stations, faster charging stations, and DC fast charging stations. They require a lot of power. Right. So we need to think well and to plan everything before we put them in. They require a lot of power. Like most of them are like over 200 kilowatt. It's huge, and we don't. The problem is we don't have infrastructure yet for that. And so if we don't have infrastructure, we need to think smart and to use our infrastructure smart enough to be able to put all the charging stations and to let everybody to charge them.
Obviously, there's a lot we have to do on the supply side of the electric system, because this is very bursty demand too. You can imagine a lot of people charging early in the day and late in the day. Mm-hmm. And just like air conditioning, that could drive the need for peaker plants that are at this point still very much fossil fuel powered. As we rethink our infrastructure, what advice do you have to communities about where they should be placing their electric investment? Should it be in the commercial sector, the personal transportation, residential sector? How should we rethink the way we even deliver electricity wherever it might be?
I believe it should be in both of the sides, on the residential side and on the commercial side. And it's not even a question if they need to do that. It's a demand, and demand will increase from the consumer side. And like from the, let's say on the workplaces, I see people are looking at the EVs, and some of the people, when they make a decision to work for a certain company, they look at the perks, like if they have EV charging stations over there so that they could charge their cars. So that, and the same with the apartment complexes, when they select or buy a place, they prefer to have an EV charging station over there so that they don't spend extra like several $1,000s to put in the charging station, or to even analyze if there is enough infrastructure to put the charging station. So people prefer that. And having that infrastructure will attract more people to their businesses and to their the residential properties. So they need to think about that, about having putting more charging stations over there at their work, at the residential and commercial buildings. And how to do it? It's a problem. It's a problem we have. The infrastructure. I know that we invest a lot, like the U.S., the bipartisan bill, like $7.5 billion for EV charging. Mm-hmm. But they don't really talk about the infrastructure for that. The utility companies are not ready to have so many charging stations. So that's the problem we deal with, and we need to think more about that, how to enable these charging stations, how to put them in there. With limited infrastructure, and that's one of the products, and we have thought about it a lot before, like we even started building the charging stations. So that's why we built the product to enable basically to use your limited infrastructure to add 8 times more charging stations. So that's the main goal.
There's another factor that could change, and that is the speed with which a battery can be charged. As we move from chemistry-based batteries, lithium ion and so forth, to solid-state batteries, can the charging time fall enough that we also relieve the pressure at the charging location?
Exactly. So that could help too, the batteries, the innovations on the batteries. And I see solid state batteries, it's one thing. The quantum battery, I'm not sure if you have seen that in the news. I've seen it lately. Yeah. So it's basically a technology which enables each cell, basically all the cells, to get the charging simultaneously instead of getting all at once and then getting them distributed. So it will speed up the charging time a lot. So that could help. So that's on the EV side. The EVs need to invest to speed up the charging time. So that will definitely help a lot too.
Interesting. A lot of people don't know that electricity is basically flowing like water, and getting enough through one of these plugs is the biggest challenge, or getting it into the individual cell is the biggest challenge. It's going to be interesting to see how we continue to evolve. Can I ask you to just put yourself in the year 2030 and answer a couple of questions? Are we going to be able to support the general migration from gas and diesel to electric at the scale we're talking about wanting to in the United States, which is about 50% of cars sold and operated that year should be electric? Are we going to be able to do that?
I hope so.
Not a ringing endorsement.
So again, like my biggest concern is the infrastructure. Yeah. It's not there. But once we move, and I believe we move in the right direction, at least on the EV charging side, and on the infrastructure side, again, the same bill focused on infrastructure. I hope that will be enough to add more infrastructure, more electrical infrastructure, and at the same time, the EVs would play bigger roles on improving their batteries, on getting more cars in. So I hope that all of them together, like as a joint effort, we will be able to make it happen by 2030, and to support the trend and where we are going to.
Well, like all exciting times, it's going to be challenging too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. How can our listeners follow along with what cyber switching is doing on the journey?
Sure. So they could go to cyberswitching.com /cyberblog. We put all our news over there, what we are working on, what exciting products are coming, what our plans, how we look at the EV market, and all of those kind of things.
Well, Nick, I want to thank you for taking some time to talk with us today.
Thank you very much, Mitch, for having me here. It was a pleasure talking to you.
We have been speaking with Nick Zamanov. He's business director at San Jose-based Cyber Switching, which is a maker of electric vehicle charging technology. You know, we heard a lot of important factors that we need to think about: range anxiety, the battery technologies that we use. All of these are going to reshape the way that we live and move around our world. So thinking about our range anxiety, a local vehicle only needs to cover about 100 to 110 or 20 miles a day at most for most people in the United States. And so that may be the focus of our early purchases of electric vehicles at home and even as businesses. But then we can mix in our long-distance EV vehicle later, or continue to drive a gas vehicle until that range anxiety is eliminated, which I think we're very close to now. And what's going to result from all of this is going to be fascinating to see how it turns out. And we'll be here to talk about it all along the way. This is Earth911's Sustainability in Your Ear. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe, and we're going to be back with another innovator interview soon. I hope you'll take a few minutes to share this podcast and all the others we've done. It's about 320 or 30 now, about all the topics that we have to address as we begin the transition out of the industrial era and into the post-carbon sustainable era, an economy that we can be proud to pass on to our children. We're going to be back soon. In the meantime, take care of yourself, take care of one another, and let's all take care of this beautiful planet of ours. Have a green day.